Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is March 27th, 2024, and Xavi Hernandez has filed lawsuit against two reporters. Also, Nico Williams dreams of playing at FC Barcelona. And finally, there's currently a battle brewing behind the scenes between Pini and Jorge Mendes. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and this is the Barca News live podcast, which is scheduled on every Mondays and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where not only do I get to share the news with you, but I also get to interact with you wonderful people in the chat section. So make sure you drop your comments in the chat section so we can, get a discussion going. I can read your comments out loud like I always do. For those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be leaving chapters in the timeline and timestamps in the description in case you do want to skip through all the discussion. Now, having said that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment if you are looking to buy any sports. If you are looking to buy any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure you hit the kickback. If you are looking to place any sports bets, make sure you hit the bet us. Both links for kickback and bet us are in the description. Now let's begin with the news, because as you already know, the committee of referees handed Xavi Hernandez a two-match suspension. It's been a very long day, by the way. I apologize. But the committee of referees handed Xavi Hernandez a two-match suspension after that red card that he received against Atletico de Madrid. And as promised, Barcelona did present an appeal to the committee of competition, or the competition committee, and today that decision to suspend Xavi for two matches has been upheld. So Xavi Hernandez will miss both matches against Las Palmas and Cadiz, but of course the silver lining in this whole thing is that Xavi will be available for that Real Madrid match, which is the third match, as soon as the FIFA break is over. Now Barcelona could appeal this decision once again, another level up to the arbitration committee. However, Barcelona have decided not to proceed with this appeal because they know it's most likely going to be denied as well. We've seen Barcelona's appeals always get denied. The latest one was Vitor Roque when he got tackled and somehow he was shown a second yellow, which became a red card. The appeal was denied in that case. So Barcelona are not looking to appeal this. So it looks like Xavi will for sure be suspended for the matches against Las Palmas and Cadiz. Now, speaking of suspensions, and this is not Barcelona related, but I do bring it up because it's absolutely ridiculous. And this is just one of the million examples that I've been giving you throughout the season on how biased refereeing is in Spain, how there's a double standard for some teams, Real Madrid and everyone else. But remember this guy. If you don't know who he is, it's Gonzalo Melero. As you recall, several weeks ago, Real Madrid pulled off one of the biggest heists, an armed robbery, broad daylight against Almeria, when the referees awarded them two goals that shouldn't have been awarded. Well, one of them was a penalty that should have been awarded. The other one was a clear handball by Vinicius where he scored a goal with his hand. And they disallowed a perfectly legal goal from Almeria, pulling off one of the biggest heists, or the biggest heist this season, with Real Madrid beating Almeria 3-2. And well, after the match, and then Gonzalo Melero complained and said to the press that it was a robbery. And as a result, the committee of referees have decided to hand down a 4-match suspension for Gonzalo Melero, which is in line with what the committee of referee had done with other players. I've given you plenty of examples in the past about players who also received 4 or 5 match suspensions because they criticize the referees. So that's not the problem. The problem is, of course, a double standard that exists for Real Madrid, where actually after the match against Valencia, where the referee Gil Manzano blew the whistle too early, and Madrid happened to score a goal right after the whistle blew, Bellingham said that they had been robbed. Not Bellingham. Vinicius said that they had been robbed. We'll see if he gets any suspensions. I'll doubt it, Because if we look at the past, we did have Ancelotti one time. He criticized the referees in a press conference. He did not get any bans. Asensio, he did it through on press and through his Twitter account. He didn't get shown a suspension. And of course, not to mention all the Vinicius Jr. fiascos, insulting the referees, calls them sons of bitches, calling them crazy, yelling in their face, mocking them, telling them that they're on drugs, and he's never been suspended or anything like that. And that's not even to mention all the violence with, Vinicius punching a player in the face and then having his red card revoked. Valverde punching a player in the face after the match, he not getting any suspensions. So the list is endless and endless and endless, with Real Madrid players doing whatever the hell they want. They don't get any repercussions, but here we go. Melero gets a 4-match suspension for criticizing the referees in what was a clear robbery by Real Madrid. And of course, Xavi Hernandez suspension is being upheld for complaining, not calling the referee names, not insulting the referee, not calling him crazy or a son of a bitch like Vinicius does. No, he simply complained, and his suspension will be upheld for 2 matches. Now, speaking of Xavi Hernandez, it's reported that Barcelona are planning to give Xavi Hernandez a new post within Barcelona. And that post would be ambassador of the Barcelona Foundation. If you don't know what the Barcelona Foundation is, it's the charitable arm of FC Barcelona. And Barcelona are hoping to name Xavi Hernandez as the ambassador of that foundation. Seems that this is a way that Joan Laporta to honor kind of Xavi Hernandez and to keep him linked to the club. Because as you know, Xavi Hernandez is resigning at the end of the season. Of course, Laporta would love for Xavi to stay at the club even longer. He said so in multiple interviews. But if Xavi Hernandez insists on leaving, then Laporta would like to give him this post as an ambassador of the Barcelona Foundation in order to kind of keep that link between Barcelona and Xavi Hernandez, as it should be, because Xavi Hernandez is one of the greatest players to ever don our jersey. He is definitely a legend of the club, and legends of the club should always be linked to the club. So this is one way that Laporta is trying to accomplish this. And of course, it's also another way to kind of like soften the whole thing, with Xavi leaving, resigning from his post, kind of like, soften the whole thing, not to ruin his image, if you may. But I think it is a good thing that Barcelona are doing this because, like I've said, Xavi is an absolute legend of the club, and legends of the club should always be linked to the club forever and ever. Anyways, let's start with the comment section, and then we will talk about the 2 lawsuits that Xavi Hernandez has filed against 2 different reporters. All right, my man Klaus, who's at every live stream, says, hello, everyone. What's up, Klaus? I'm glad to see you in the chat section. Like always, excuse me, Arnold says, hey, Mo, I'm so happy to catch up the live since I have been missing it due to my work schedule. I'm very happy you're here, Arnold. I'm glad you can catch the live stream. Hope you enjoy it, and I hope I can see you in more live streams in the future. And Lincoln says, hey, Mo, I know the news went about him, but Yamal was amazing yesterday. Can only imagine him and Nico next season for Barca. Lamine Yamal was actually got a standing ovation at the stadium. I think it was the Bernabeu, if I'm not mistaken. That's where Spain played. But, I mean, the things that this kid is doing at 16 years old, it's absolutely remarkable. And he is even far from achieving his prime yet and even showing us what his best form is. So if this is what he's doing at 16, can you imagine what he's going to be doing at 24, 25 when he hits his prime? And that's like in 9-10 years. Like, that's a lot of years for him to improve. It's absolutely nuts. And Spooky says we should try to buy Phil Foden instead of Haaland. Phil Foden is not for sale. The whole Haaland news, it's just hyping. I don't see Barcelona achieving this. I mean, there's no money for it. And even if we did have the money for it, we've already learned our lesson what happens when you buy 100+ million euro players. And also, if you are going to go after Haaland, then what was the point of bringing Vitor Roque? Right? Vitor Roque, we're going to end up spending around 65 million euros for him once the variables are paid. So why spend all that money to then just turn around and replace him with 100+ million euro player? We could have just saved the money, kept Vitor in Brazil, and just kept going with Lewandowski and Yu. So I'm not buying too much into the whole Haaland news. I think it's just a slow news cycle right now with the international break. But anyways, the articles are there. It's your choice. Anyways, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Xavi Hernandez because the Barcelona coach has filed the lawsuit against two reporters. The first one is Manuel Jabois. Now, Manuel Jabois had apparently written an article criticizing Xavi. It's totally fine. Freedom of the press, freedom of speech. However, where Manuel Jabois later screw the pooch, if you may, is that he commented saying that supposedly Xavi had called him and had harassed him about the article and had to kind of like try to pressure him to pull that article or to say nicer things about him. And Manuel Jabois said that that was a very dirty thing of Xavi Hernandez to do, to contact him, to get him to pull that article. He later on backtracked in a separate article where he said that that had never happened. But of course, by then it was too late. He had already said it. Millions had heard it. You cannot unring a bell. And therefore, Xavi Hernandez has decided to file a lawsuit against Manuel Jabois for lying, because Xavi, not once did he call Manuel Jabois, he did not text him. He doesn't even know who the guy is, but yet the guy decided to invent the story about Xavi Hernandez supposedly reaching out to him about his article. Now, it's reported that Barcelona did reach out to Manuel Jabois, someone from the club, in order to see what's going on with his story. And on this phone call, Manuel Jabois admitted that no, Xavi had not called him. He had not texted him, that there had been no contact with him. So, of course, Xavi has filed this lawsuit for defamation, which I 100% agree with. I've said it many times before. I strongly, strongly believe in the freedom of the press and the freedom of speech. I think those are the cornerstones and pillars of every democracy. But that does not give you the right to lie. You can criticize Xavi. You can say he's a bad coach, whatever. But to outright lie and say, oh, Xavi called me and told me to pull my article, that is not okay. Lies are not okay. Criticism is fine. You can say you like him as a coach, you hate him as a coach, he's great, he's bad, whatever. But the moment you start lying, that's when it's absolutely not okay. And I'm glad that Xavi has acted on this and filed a lawsuit, because there has to be repercussions for these kind of actions. It is not okay to just lie to sell articles. Now, the second reporter that Xavi Hernandez has filed a lawsuit against is Javi Miguel. I talked about Javi Miguel in the past. He was actually someone who was very close to Xavi and his entourage. He was consistently leaking Xavi Hernandez's plans, consistently leaking Xavi Hernandez's formations before the matches. And I mentioned it before because I used to say, what is this guy doing? Like, I get it's your job as a reporter to bring things up, but some stories need to stay buried. You know, given the other team, all of Xavi's plans and formation is not helping anyone. So what are you doing? But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I spoke about Javi Miguel, I think it was about a week or 2 weeks ago, because Barcelona decided to file a lawsuit against him for lying. And now Xavi Hernandez has also filed his own lawsuit for the same reason. Now, if you don't remember, you don't know what story I'm talking about, but there was a concern within the club about stories being constantly being leaked to the press. You know, things that were going on inside the club, things that were going on inside the locker room, they were constantly being leaked to the press. And Javi Miguel published an article saying that supposedly Xavi Hernandez and his staff locked the locker room with all the players inside and forced all the players to take out their cell phones and hand them out to Xavi and his staff. And then that the staff went through every single cell phone, going through all the text messages, phone calls, social media accounts, etc., to see who within the locker room was leaking these stories to the press. Now, this never happened. This was an absolute fabrication by Javi Miguel. As a result, Barcelona decided to file a lawsuit against him. And now Xavi Hernandez has done the same. And again, I'm glad he's done this. I'm glad the club are doing this, because I've said a million times before, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, important, but that does not give you the right to lie and defame people. That is not okay. So I'm glad these lawsuits are filed, because there needs to be repercussion for this unethical, illegal, and disgusting behavior. Anyways, let's get back to the comment section, and then we will talk about Nico Williams, which I know a lot of you guys like him. So we'll definitely be talking about Nico Williams. All right. The Lobo says, Lobo is how you say it. Hey Mo, haven't been in a live chat in a long time. Just thought to keep up late at night. I'm glad you're here. I know I always see you commenting on the videos, so it's good to see you here in the chat section. And Simeon says, do you think that Koundé will be able to contain Mbappe or Araujo should play right back? I personally believe, and I'm no coach, I'm no expert on this, but I personally believe that Koundé should be the right back with Araujo being the center back because Koundé has been doing a great job since the new year. His form has been impeccable. He's been getting better and better. We saw what he did to Kvaratskhelia. He canceled him in both matches against Napoli. He's been doing a really good job. So I think he should be there marking Mbappe with Araujo covering his back because I don't think Koundé can do it on his own. I don't think Araujo would be able to do it on his own. I think we need both. Koundé on the right back, marking Mbappe, and then Araujo right there to cover his back for when Mbappe decides to make those inside cuts. And another reason why I think Koundé should be on the right back and Araujo as a center back because Koundé is better with coming out with the ball at his feet, with coming out with the ball from behind. He's much better at that. Araujo is not as good. So if you put Araujo on the right back, you're not going to be able to attack using Araujo as well as you would be able to use Koundé in the attack, right? So that's my opinion. I don't know. You guys let me know in the chat section. What do you guys think? Who should be the right back, Araujo or Koundé? Or maybe, I don't know, Sergio Roberto. I'm kidding. Sergio Roberto should never play as a right back again. Anyways, Alucine says, hey, Mo, it's my first time being here on the live stream. I pray that the channel continues to grow. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And thank you for being here for the first time. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy more live streams. I love the live streams. And let's see, Arnold says, the CTS suspended the referees who officiated the Valencia versus Real Madrid match due to the mistake. But when it's other teams who get robbed, it's the players or coach who get suspended. 100%, my friend. And that's exactly, what I've been talking about for a very long time, the hypocrisy, the double standard that exists in La Liga, where, if you make mistakes against other teams, that's okay. No worries. Make it against Real Madrid, you're in trouble. If you're a Real Madrid player, you insult others, you commit violence against them, doesn't matter. But if you're Lewandowski and you do this, 3-match ban. But Real Madrid fans still come to this channel and then lose their minds when I talk about these things. It's like, are you not watching the same television that we're all watching? I don't know. But anyways, let's talk about Nico Williams because we have news about the youngster. There's actually 2 bits of news. The first bit of news is that Barcelona have not forgotten about Nico Williams. We know that Barcelona were hoping to sign Nico Williams if he didn't renew his contract with Athletic Club de Bilbao. We knew his contract was about to expire. It seemed like he wasn't renewing. So Barcelona were tracking the situation, ready to pounce and sign him. However, in the last minute, Nico Williams decided to renew. He extended his contract. So it all fell through in the winter transfer market. But despite that, Barcelona are still keeping tabs on the player. They would still like to sign him. But of course, the problem is, as always, the money. Now, Nico Williams did reserve a low release clause in his contract that was part of his requests to renew with Athletic Club de Bilbao. That was part of the negotiations because he knew, even though he wants to renew Athletic Club de Bilbao, he wanted to stay a little bit longer. He knew that eventually he's going to have to end up at a bigger club because he is destined for good things. And as such, he reserved a 50 million euro release clause, which is not a lot for someone his age and his potential. If Nico Williams was in the Premier League right now, you bet your butt off that every club would be asking, or whoever would own him would be asking for 120 million euros. So 50 million euros is not a lot. It is a lot for Barca because of the economy that they're in. But Barcelona consider that it's not a lot for someone like Nico Williams with his age, with his potential, with his skill, his talent, etc. So Barcelona are still tracking the player. They still want to sign him, but it's all going to depend on what happens in the summer. If Barcelona can make some important sales in the summer, and I don't mean important as in important players, but like they can offload players like Dest, Lenglet, other players that they might not count on as much in the first team. They can make several sales and generate a good enough money. If they can sign more sponsors and can, be able to afford the 50 million euros, then Barcelona are going to go all in. But of course, that will all depend on how Barcelona do in the market, how they can sell, and whether they can sell those players, and if they can sign any more sponsorship deals. But just know that Barcelona, are still interested in Nico Williams. They still want to sign him. They consider 50 million euros for him is not a lot. So they're going to make an effort this summer. We'll see how it happens. In the second half of this news, or the other face of the coin, the other side of the coin, is that Nico Williams reportedly dreams of playing in Barcelona. So it's, of course, good news because it doesn't matter how interested you are in a player and how much money you're willing to pay. If he doesn't want to come to your club, what's the point? But just know that Nico Williams is dreaming of playing in Barcelona. However, he is not willing to force an exit out of Athletic Club de Bilbao. If Barcelona want to pay his release clause, he would be more than happy to come to Barcelona. However, he's not going to force his exit, understandably so, because Athletic Club de Bilbao is his home. He came up through their academy. He is from Basque Country. Forgot the town. Mes? No, that's the stadium. Bilbao. It's in the freaking name. Anyways, he's from Bilbao. He grew up in the academy of Athletic Club de Bilbao. It's his home. His brother plays there. So he's not willing to force an exit. He's not willing to kind of like break that relationship, burn that bridge. But he is dreaming of playing in Barcelona. And he does have a lot of friends in Barcelona. He's really, really good friends with Lamine, with Pau Cubarsí, and even with Alejandro Balde. So my question is to you, can you imagine Lamine on the right, Pito Jorge in the middle, and Nico Williams on the left? That would be one hell of an offensive line. Anyways, let's get back to the chat section, and then we will talk about that battle that's brewing behind the scenes between Pini Zahavi and Jorge Mendes. Let's see. Kill Bill says, man, I wish we would have signed Endrick instead of Beat. Absolutely not. Endrick is not on another level. Vitor Roque is. I mean, when both of them were coming up, Endrick was getting all this attention, and then he just disappeared off the face of the earth for like a whole season. He didn't do anything. Meanwhile, Vitor Roque stayed consistent through the whole season, and that's when Barcelona signed Vitor. But Endrick had already been signed by Real Madrid, and there were even talks that Real Madrid were already regretting their decision because they both came onto the scene at the same time, Vitor and Endrick. Real Madrid signs Endrick falls off, disappears for a whole season. Vitor Roque continues scoring goals, breaking records. He wins the whatever trophy he won with under 19 or under 20 for Brazil, top scorer, etc. Now Endrick has a few good matches again, and everybody's like, oh, Endrick. And he's like, no. I'm sorry, but no. I'm glad that we signed Vitor Roque because I don't care about players who give you 2 or 3 great matches. I want players who are consistent. Simeon says, are you an attorney? Yes, I am, my friend. And Sampana says, Mo, you're already at 20K. Last month, you were only at 10K. What a growth. Thank you, my friend. Yes, I have noticed this huge bump in subscribers. All of this is, of course, thanks to you guys. You guys are pretty amazing. So thank you for supporting the channel. And if you want to continue supporting the channel, make sure to hit the like button. That's the best way to support the channel because it prompts YouTube to recommend the channel and the videos to people who've never seen it. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. But let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about the battle that's brewing between Pini Zahavi and Jorge Mendes. Now we know Jorge Mendes has been on the hunt in the academy of La Masia, watching their talents, ready to sign them. He already stole Hector Fort away from his previous agent, and he's been hovering, trying to sign more players. Of course, he has plenty of players in the first team. Yeah, he has both Joao's. He has Alejandro Balde. I think Lamine Yamal too, and maybe even Ansu Fati. But the next target of these two agents is now La Masia. They know there's a lot of potential. It's a gold mine, and they both have been circulating like vultures, ready to sign our young players. And in fact, it's reported that Pini Zahavi has already set up camp in Barcelona. He's in the city of Barcelona. He's installed himself there temporarily because he wants to be close to the academy in order to sign more and more of our youngsters, which, doesn't really affect us directly as a club, but it just highlights how important La Masia is and how it always has been and it always should be the answer. Because when you have two of the biggest agents in the world fighting over our talent, that tells you that we have an absolute gold mine with La Masia. And we have an absolute blessing with our academy that continues nonstop to produce some of the best players in the world, including this youngster who Pini Zahavi just signed to his agency. He was able to poach him away from his previous agent. Don't know who that is. I didn't. The picture is horrible. They usually it's very hard to find pictures for youngsters. But it's Roberto Tomas. He's a 15-year-old attacking midfielder who plays in Cadete A. He is already showing a lot of promise. He's an incredibly mobile midfielder. He has pretty insane dribbling skills. He can cut through defenders like a hot knife on butter. And Pini Zahavi has already signed him to his agency, stealing him away from his previous agent. And it looks like this is going to be going on for a while with both Jorge Mendes and Pini Zahavi fighting for our young talents, which again just proves that we have one of the best, if not the best, academies in the world. And I can't believe how Bartomeu neglected the academy for so many years when the answer was always there. The answer has always been there. Historically speaking, Barcelona have done the best whenever they brought up players from the academy. I don't even have to tell you this. We all know the greatest generation of players, the greatest FC Barcelona team, Pep Guardiola's team, was mostly academy players. So we should always look to our academy, and we should never, ever repeat the mistake of Bartomeu of neglecting the academy and making 100 million euro signings on useless players like Coutinho, Griezmann, and Dembele. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? This thing moved on me, and I have no idea. Where did we leave off? Kimchi says, don't really why we bought Vitor. So many better players for that price. I disagree. It says it's time to sue those as well because it has to have consequences to fabricate lies like they have for so long. I agree. Barcelona has filed over a dozen lawsuits against all those reporters that when the whole Negreira case came onto the scene, were saying, Barcelona, they're bribing referees, blah, 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 even though there was never evidence of that. So Barcelona have filed lawsuits against them, and now against these two reporters, or Xavi against these two reporters. So anyways, Mark says, I really enjoyed the Love podcast. I hope you add another one each week. I have been thinking about this. Maybe I should drop a poll in the community tab to see if people maybe want to do a podcast 3 times a week instead of 2. Maybe we can do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I don't know. I really like the podcast. I love interacting with you guys in the chat section. I think it's a much better experience to, do it live, just read it and answer to you live versus, doing it through the comment. I don't know. It feels more personal to me. I really enjoy it. So if you guys want another day of podcast, I'm all for it. Plus, it saves me time on editing because I don't have to edit a podcast. I just have to talk. Anyways, let's see. Where did we leave off? Marley says, Mo, I think Nico Williams is a perfect player for Barca. For sure. Arnold says, despite renewing his release clause, still pretty low, 50 million. I think it's affordable for Barca if we negotiate a player with cash. Yeah, I agree. And that's why Barcelona are not losing sight of Nico Williams, because 50 might be too much for Barcelona because they're broke, but it's not too much for the player. 50 million for someone like Nico Williams, it's actually a pretty good deal. Like I said, if Nico Williams was in the Premier League, whatever club he would be at, it would be asking for 120, right? I mean, Everton, we're asking 90 million for Onana. They've lowered their expectation because they realize it's a lot of money, but that's how the Premier League operates. So 50 million for Nico is not a lot. And Igor says, if we manage to generate considerable funds this summer, we should better go for top established wingers like Sané, for example. I like Williams, but 50 million for him is too risky. Well, big risk, big reward. Sané is what, 28? See what I mean? It's a long 50 million. If the player ends up coming for 5-6 years and gives you 5-6 good years, you ended up spending 8 million per year for a really good winger. If you bring someone like Sané, who has 2-3 good seasons left in him, and he's probably going to cost around 50-60 million, now the math is different. Now you're talking about 20 million per season. Plus, you're forgetting about salaries. When you bring a player like Sané, he's going to want top bucks. Like, he's going to want a lot of money to pay his salary. So that adds to the cost versus someone like Nico. he's not going to charge as much because he is younger. So, there's pros and cons to both. And Klaus says, Endrick got an easy tapping goal, and that makes you doubt Vitor. Good point. It's like something I said before. Football fans tend to be a little fickle. It's like you get a player who gives you one good performance, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's the second Messi. And then, you have a great player who gives you one bad performance, and they're like, oh, he's finished, he's done. And it's like, you can't just judge players based on one match. You have to judge players over a long period of time, because statistically speaking, any player can give you a great match. No matter how bad they are bound to have an amazing performance. But can they keep that up? No. The great players, they can. They can give you 70, 80% of their great matches. The not so great, they're going to give you maybe 10% of their matches will be great. And then there's the mid-table players who can give you maybe half of the time will be great matches, the other half not so much. So it's not about one or two great performances. It's about an entire season. Or maybe sometimes even more, because there's some players who will give you one great season and then that's it. Nicola says, we should do whatever it takes to get Nico Williams, whatever, even if it means selling some of this. No. Let's not get crazy now. He is a good player, but let's not throw the whole club out the window just to bring over a player. We've seen what that has happened. We are literally living through that. We saw all the money that we threw away because we had to get Griezmann. We had to get Dembele. We had to get Coutinho. And where has that left us? 1.2 billion euros in debt. So let's not throw the club out the window just because we want a player. Arnold says, stats shows better than Vitor Roque is way better than Endrick when both were playing the same league. Exactly, 100%. MB says, hey Mo, why do we need so many players? Don't we have a lot of players only next season? Diarra, Marcos says, Diarra will come in December. And when he does come, he's not going to be a first-team player. He's going to go to Barca Athletic in order to adapt because he is coming from Mali. It's a big jump. Estebao doesn't turn 16 until 2025. I'm sorry, 18 until 2025. So he cannot come next season. And then Marcos. Which Marcos are we talking about? If you can clarify, let me know. All right. Cloud says Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely dropping that poll in the community tab. So be in the lookout for him and, let me know. All right. It says Yamal had a way better game yesterday without scoring, but guess who gets all the hype for simple tapping? Yamal got plenty of hype. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. And Dovakin says, Mo, with the current financial situation, Barcelona will have to decide between a pivot and left winger. So Barcelona have earmarked 40 million for the pivot. That's for sure happening. Left wing, it's going to depend on how the sale of the players goes and whether we can sign any sponsorships. If nothing comes out of it, if we can't really make that much money, we cannot sign any big sponsorships, then we're looking at a low-cost option like Brian Zaragoza on loan, right? It would not be a signing. I prefer to bring back Ansu Fati. I mean, he is coming back regardless. There's no option obligation to buy. Because right now our two options are Ansu or Joao Felix. Is one better than the other? Right now, no. Felix because he's lazy, Ansu because of his injuries. So if our two options are Joao and Ansu, who are currently playing at the same level, and one of them will come back, so he's free because he's our player already, and the other one will cost you 60 million euros, I prefer to bring back Ansu. Plus, a lot of people say Ansu is finished. I disagree with that assessment. Yes, Ansu is still not recovering fully from his surgeries, but that's because he's only 20 or 21. His body is still developing. His muscles are still growing and getting stronger. Once he reaches 24, 25, which is when your body is fully grown and your muscles are fully developed, those injury worries are going to go away. Perfect example, Dembele, right? Dembele was ruined when he was younger because they overplayed him. And because his body was still not strong enough as he was developing, he continued to, get re-injured and re-injured. Now he's hit his physical prime, 25, 26. Now he's not getting injured. So I don't think Ansu is finished. Lassie says, do not touch, bro. We have Roque for 7 years. Calm down. He will get his time. Yeah, I want him to go when he have Lewy, and he's most likely going to leave soon. So just wait. Yeah, gotta chill. I agree. He just arrived at the club like literally 2 months ago. We cannot expect Vitor to... Plus, he's 18. It's not like Vitor is a player who just arrived in his prime in 25, 26. And you're like, all right, come on. I need immediate, performance. No, he's 18 years old. He's still young. Very young. He just arrived 2 months ago to a new league in a new country in a new continent. Like, let's give him some time before we start talking about how we wasted our money on him. Now, if in 2 seasons he's still like not performing, then maybe we wasted our money. But right now he just got here 2 months ago. Let's see. Nicolas says, we desperately need a right wing, whereas we never needed Griezmann or Coutinho. They were always Barto's statement signings and nothing more. Right wing, I mean, we have 3 right wingers right now. We have Lamine, Ferran, Rafinha. I don't know if we need a right winger. And Don't Touch says, we forgot freedom of speech. How can they sue? Because freedom of speech, my friend, is not unlimited. Freedom of speech does not allow you to outright lie. The same reason why you cannot hop on a plane and scream bomb, because there are limits to freedom of speech. And the moment you start lying about people, and the moment you start putting people in danger with your speech, then it's no longer free. There are repercussions, my friend. All right. Klaus says, I was unaware of the goal against Spain. Still not a reason to doubt Vitor. Vitor Roque. You got to say it like that, Klaus. I know you cannot type it. But. All right. And Victor says, Nico Williams is right. I'm guessing you're thinking, I don't think Nico Williams is right for us. He only has speed for me, and that will reduce with age. Leao is better for me. Nico doesn't only have speed. He has dribbling too. But anyways, I think that is all, my friends. Thank you for tuning in, for your likes, for your subscriptions, for your comments, for just being amazing, period. I'm going to be dropping that poll in the community tab to ask if everybody wants an extra day of podcasts, maybe one day, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So make sure to be on the lookout for the poll, participate in the poll. That way I can get an accurate representation of what everybody or the majority wants. So be on the lookout for that. But again, thank you for tuning in. You guys are amazing. Have a good night or good morning, wherever you are in the world. And as always, peace, guys.